Hey there, it's Anna. Welcome to the garden. Today I'm doing one of my favorite things, which is planting lettuce in containers. There are so many reasons why planting lettuce in containers is awesome. To share a few, it's a great use of space. So if you have a small garden or just have other plans for your garden and for the spring when you're putting in your summer crops, you can grow lettuce in containers. It grows super happily and you don't have to use up that garden space. It has a really shallow root system, so you don't even need super deep or really big containers. As you can see, I've selected kind of some lower containers. You certainly could use bigger containers, but they don't really need it because they have such shallow root systems. And it also keeps your lettuce really clean. So I'm gonna pack this lettuce in pretty tightly. I'm going to really seed these containers heavily, and that is one, to produce a lot of greens, and then two, to keep the lettuce clean because there won't be a lot of backsplash of soil getting on the leaves, and that's just always nice when you're growing home produce. The less really intense cleaning you have to do, the better. So I am, as I said, going to plant this pretty densely in these containers. I'm going to be mostly doing like the cut and come again method for the lettuce. So this won't really be head lettuce, although you could grow head lettuce in a container, but I like to just harvest the larger outer leaves and let the plant continue to grow and grow and grow, just so I get kind of an endless lettuce harvest. These containers, like these two containers and this little window box, I think are going to be enough to have pretty much constant salads for me and my family. I find I usually end up harvesting about once or twice a week, and they just produce and produce and produce. So I selected, as I said, two kind of lower containers, and then also I found this little window box, and I thought it'd be fun just to set beside my raised bed and just have another sort of shape and look in the garden. I filled it with just potting mix, and I am going to add a tiny bit of fertilizer. So lettuce for me is a spring crop. By the time we really get into mid-May or so here, it's going to start thinking about bolting. So I'm not worried about doing a lot of heavy fertilizing while the lettuce is growing, and I don't like to put that all over my lettuce leaves. So just adding a little bit of like a basic, this is just plant tone, a basic fertilizer like that in at the start just gives them a little bit of something, and then I kind of don't have to worry about it for the rest of the process, which is just really nice. For timelines, it's late February here. I am in Virginia, and my last frost date is about, I would say, early April, mid to early April. We will have cooler nights. We'll have nights in the 20s, but most of our nights will be in the 30s. Our days will be sometimes 60 like it is today. This is all Fahrenheit, or sometimes maybe like 40s and 50s. But I also have a super protected little backyard. These containers are going to be sitting on this stone here. That warms them up a little bit. So just all things to kind of take into account when you're thinking about your particular space. Okay, so what are we planting? Oh no! One of these seed packets was upside down. So I guess, oh, this is my favorite lettuce. Shoot, I hate to lose some of those seeds. This is for Ellenschluss. It's a really nice romaine style lettuce, and I'm just going to plant it right here in the middle of this window basket here, since that's where it spilled. Okay, so that's where the Ellenschluss is. Really nice romaine style lettuce. Romaines tend to be a little hardier to the warm temperatures. They don't bolt quite as fast. Do just a couple more because I do want this to be really thick. Okay, well, since that was decided where that was going to go, I wasn't sure where I wanted things, so now it's been decided. I'm also going to do a red romaine. I think this bed is going to kind of all be romaine style lettuce. That'll be sort of interesting. So the red romaine is just a really beautiful kind of deep reddish color, and I just think that'll be really pretty. Since these are containers, there is kind of, a decorative factor here, and so you want it to look kind of pretty as well. And so the different mixes of colors are nice. Then I'm going to do Bronze Beauty, which has a really interesting shape. It is supposed to be really heat tolerant, kind of lobed shape, bronzy color. I'll do a little bit of that. Unfortunately, my spill happened a little bit off center, so things aren't going to be quite centered. Let's see. Oh, I have a Cinnamon Romaine, which is another kind of multi reddish kind of romaine. So I'm going to do, that'll be all of that. And what I do as far as planting depth with lettuce, because it's really, you don't need to plant it super deep, I just end up sprinkling it over and then just kind of like raking it in really lightly. So it's not like covered by a deep amount of soil, or you could sprinkle some more soil on top. Then the last thing I am going to do in this bed is I'm going to take some peppercress, because I want this to kind of look like a window box. And the peppercress is going to be a little bit taller and a different texture of leaves. It's not a lettuce, but it grows really well in these temperatures, just like lettuce. And I'm just going to sprinkle this along the back of the window box here, so that we kind of have like a little bit of a height difference, and then the lettuce growing in the front. Hopefully that'll be really pretty, and hopefully with all these romaines, this container will last really well into the season. That is the hope for this. Then in these two containers, I'm going to do an outrageous, which is this really pretty lobed kind of red lettuce. I just thought that would be gorgeous. Just gonna sprinkle a bunch. Oh, no, that's all that pack. I'm just gonna sprinkle a bunch in here. And again, just kind of like work it in really lightly. And then in here, I'm gonna do Garden Baby's Butterhead, just to add a little bit of like some of that really chartreuse pretty butterhead style lettuce. And I'm going to sow that one really thickly, because I find that with butterheads, I'm going to throw a couple extra Butter King seeds in there too. I tend to have a hard time getting the butterhead lettuces to germinate, and they just don't take off quite as well sometimes as like the romaines and the other things. And I don't know what that is, if it's me or them, but I'm just going to sow a little bit extra just to make sure. Okay, so that is really it. I'm going to water them and keep them really moist. I may end up putting them in my greenhouse. I have one of these little unheated greenhouses, just until they sprout, because I do have a bird feeder this year in the garden, and there are some visible seeds here, and I know the birds would probably love to snack on them. So I'm going to water it, and then I'm going to stick it in the greenhouse until everything has come up. So let me get those seed packs out of the way, and then just a real light, gentle water. When you've got seeds on the surface like this, or very lightly sown, not very deep, it's nice to just water and then come back and water again, really kind of quickly moving over the soil so you don't disrupt things a ton. So I'll like water it, leave it for a second, and then water again, just so I don't have the water pooling all over on my seeds and moving them around. So that is it. That is my container lettuce. I love doing this every year. I hope you give it a try. If you do, definitely let me know. Hey there, it's a rainy day in the garden. I wanted to jump back into this video because it's a few weeks later, and I just wanted to show you how the container lettuce is looking and give you an update. So I think it's been now about 2.5 weeks since I planted it. We've had a couple of really warm days, which have been awesome, because that's really helped to, you know, get these things going. So I'm gonna try to keep the camera from getting too wet in the rain, and just kind of give you a quick look at how everything's doing. All right, so here's all the little sprouts coming up. As you can see, some of them are doing a little better than others. That's kind of what happens when you mix different varieties, but I think they're gonna all fill in really beautifully, and I'm super happy about it. And then over here in these containers, a little bit of patchy kind of like sections, but again, it's fine. They're gonna be baby greens, and they're all just gonna like mix in together. And then I'm still waiting on my Butter King, Butter Crunch. I always have a hard time with those ones. So I'm gonna pop back inside now because it's pretty rainy and there's not a whole lot I'm gonna be able to get done in the garden today. But I just wanted to give you that little update. Definitely let me know if you're trying out container lettuce this year and what you're growing. I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye-bye.